So I started with the question, what are the top 5 game companies? And I got this list back, which is pretty similar to the largest by revenue, but not exactly. And it did reference the fact that there are different ways to measure top 5 companies. And then I narrowed it down to narrative games, which when I Googled on its own, did not necessarily have a definitive list by any measure, but there were several articles written about narrative companies. But I also found that not all of the companies like to name themselves as narrative companies, probably because they want to stay broad in scope. And so a lot of these are just about games in general or studios in general. But the Chat GPT did name 5 companies along with some of their games. And so I asked about other games Naughty Dog has produced, and it listed 7, and that it was they're known for strong narratives, etc. I asked if it's an independent company. It told me it's bought by Sony, which is true. And the description it gave me is pretty much all the same information in this Wikipedia article. I asked about notable people. I got 6. However, this person has not worked at Naughty Dog, and it even said that in the list. So I'm not sure why it would even answer with that. Probably because people involved with Naughty Dog in any way, she comes up a lot because she's very controversial. Especially when it comes to The Last of Us. And when I was looking for more information on her, I found a lot of misogynistic articles. So that was not fun. But I asked about the same question with Chat GPT, and it gave the basic information from her own Wikipedia article too. Her discussion on The Last of Us. Then I asked about any controversies, and it listed 4 here, which are all things that I think most large game companies have faced. And it seems that there's, either because it's a bigger game or a more recent one, it kept bringing up The Last of Us Part 2, but not much about older games. Maybe because much more media has been written about them. And I asked about effects, and it stayed very broad and vague. It didn't give any numbers or anything like that. I asked about how it is affected, and I got pretty much the same stuff again. Stayed very broad, didn't mention any people. I asked about games specifically, and it, I guess, forgot we were only talking about Naughty Dog. It brought up Last of Us Part 2 and then games by other companies. So I think this would not save any time or energy compared to just Googling these things, especially because you'd have to fact check everything it says anyway, especially when it answers questions and in its own answer says that it's not answering your question. And I don't think any of this information would be hard to find from a more reliable source.